How we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be going over my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Tampa Bay, Covington vs. Buckley on December 14th, 2024. Timestamps in the comments below. Let's get right into it with the first fight of 13. We start with Josefine Knutsson versus Piera Rodriguez. I'm going to go with Josefine Knutsson. If you've been watching me, I've covered both of Josefine's fights on this channel. I'm a huge fan of Josefine Knutsson. I like her work a lot, on the feet especially. I'm picking Josefine Knutsson to win this fight. I think she can edge out a decision, kind of like she did against Julia Palastri. My big fear about this fight is that Josefine Knutsson's takedown defense hasn't improved to the level that I'd like it to, and that somehow Piera Rodriguez might be able to get the takedowns needed and use top control, because Josefine Knutsson at times doesn't use the chance to get up to actually get back to her feet, where she's very, very sound. But I'm gonna count on Josefine Knutsson's speed, her just overall technical ability on the feet. Piera Rodriguez, there's gonna be a significant speed disadvantage on her end. She's very robotic and robust with her hooks. She leaves her chin way in the air when she's throwing punches. Josefine Knutsson, Thunder fits her pretty well for her nickname. She throws a lot in quick succession. She's got good cardio too. Piera Rodriguez, she doesn't have that submission threat that, I would like to have her, or I would like to see her have in a fight against Josefine Knutsson, whose takedown defense isn't the best. But I think that the striking disadvantage really is just going to be huge. It's going to be massive in this fight. And I think that's what's going to edge the fight to Josefine Knutsson, because even in that Julia Palastri fight, we saw Julia get a bunch of takedowns in those later rounds and controlled Josefine for a large majority of those. Quite a bit of time. But Josefine Knutsson just did so much on the feet that it was kind of hard to give the round to Julia Palastri in those exchanges, and she also beat the shit out of Marnik Man, which she did what you should do against Marnik Man, which is just beat the ever-living shit out of her. And Piera Rodriguez, I see Ariane Carnelossi tagging her up with hooks. Ariane's slow, man. She hits hard, and that's the thing that's going to hold back Josefine, is that her lack of finishing ability, because she just doesn't really hit all that hard. That's what's going to hold her back in this matchup a little bit. But, dude, she's very good. She's really sound, man. And I really like her style. I think she's actually very, very solid. So I'll go Josefine Knutsson. Unanimous decision. I'll say 29-28. I think one of the rounds, Piera might get a little bit too much control time, possibly. But I go on damage, that Josefine Knutsson will do a bit more damage on the feet than Piera Rodriguez, especially with low kicks. I think the low kicks will play a huge factor in this fight. We move to Davey Grant versus Ramon Taveras. I'm going to go with Ramon on this one. It is a tricky fight. I do believe that this is going to be a tricky fight, especially for Ramon. Like I said, I know I had him in that video where he's a fraud. He's a fraud in the waiting, because I thought that his fight with Sergey City was an arguable robbery. I do believe that he can beat Davey Grant, and I think Davey Grant can beat Ramon Taveras as well, but I think at a certain point, Davey Grant is going to just start dipping in his competitiveness with other guys. He's 38 years old at bantamweight. That's never a good sign against Ramon Taveras, who's 30. And also, I do believe Ramon Taveras is going to miss weight. It's just something that he does a lot. He missed weight against Sergey City both times. He missed weight by, honestly, shocking amounts. The first time, the most recent fight, he missed weight by, 3 pounds? Damn, he almost missed by 4. Holy shit. Yeah. Ramon's a pretty big guy. Davey Grant, heavy kicking game. He loads up on some hooks some of the times. His pocket exchange. His pocket boxing, super good. That is something Davey Grant is very well versed at, is in those pocket exchanges that he can really unload on you and catch you off guard. Or those charging moments where you're leaning a bit back and you don't think Davey Grant's in range, like what happened with Jonathan Martinez, where he sets up those very looping, reaching right hands and catches you, and you don't know what's going to happen. Ramon Taveras, I think he moves his head very well. Most of the time, he does slow down, which will definitely play to the part of Davey Grant, definitely. And Davey Grant's a tough guy. I think Ramon will do enough in the first 2 rounds, edge those out, and survive a very rough third round. I think the third round will be, if Ramon makes it to the third round, but if he doesn't finish, or if Davey doesn't finish him, the third round will most likely be a little bit tougher for Ramon Taveras, just because his cardio is a little iffy, and Davey Grant, he can go for as long as he wants. He will slow down, but he can go. He can consistently throw down. Ramon, his counter-striking ability is very good, and I like that against a guy like Davey Grant, who is reaching a lot of the time, who will throw blind leg kicks, and who just will throw these kicks out of range and then kind of leave his chin in the air a little bit. I think Ramon will tag him up a little bit in those first 2 rounds, edge him out just on damage. Davey Grant shows damage pretty well, I'd say. He reflects damage quite a bit, like in the Daniel Marcos fight, which is probably one of the reasons why they gave that fight to Daniel Marcos, was just based on visible damage. But I think Ramon Taveras, he's all right. I don't think he'll go far, but I think he can do enough to get past the likes of Davey Grant, just because Davey Grant, he's 38, hasn't fought in over a year. He had a fight, he got injured. I think that a lot of outwardly sources are going to play a factor in this fight. And yeah, I think Ramon will probably win a very competitive 29-28. We move to Miranda Maverick versus Jamey-Lyn Horth. I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick. I'm going to try and keep this one short and sweet for you guys, all right? I really don't rate Jamey-Lyn Horth all that much, I'm being totally honest. She's older. She's taking this on short notice. She fought in November, on November 2nd against Ivana Petrovic. Very close fight. Arguably could have gone the other way. I think Miranda Maverick, honestly, is one of the bright spots of women's flyweight, in my humble opinion. I really rate her, her ability on the ground, which is where Jamey-Lyn Horth seemingly struggles somehow. I think Jamey-Lyn Horth is going to come in here very dehydrated, making another weight cut. She's a bigger gal. She's going to be quite a bit bigger than Miranda. I'll give her that, but I don't think that her style, like her striking, she's very slow. I think Miranda Maverick sets up her striking with her low kicks, with her jabs, with her kind of blitzing style that she has. I think she works it in very well. And Jamey-Lyn Horth, she's not going to even have a crazy reach advantage in this fight, and she's got 4 inches of height on her. You know what I mean? I don't think Jamey-Lyn Horth is all that good. Short notice, very close fight with Ivana Petrovic. The grappling isn't all there for Jamey-Lyn Horth. Defensively, at least, she gets taken down and she can get controlled for a little bit. Miranda Maverick just looked very good in her last couple of performances, especially in the grappling department, against Priscilla Cachoeira, against Andrea Lee, against Dione Barboza. Even on the feet, she's having very good highlight moments against these people. I think Miranda Maverick's just very good. So I'll go Miranda Maverick. Decision 30-27. We move to Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. I'm going to go with Felipe Lima on this one. I think Felipe Lima's really fucking good, man. That Muhammad Naimov fight really proved that to me. Felipe Lima, he's a bantamweight fighting a featherweight, but so is Miles Johns. That's the difference. Miles, it's not like a Muhammad Naimov where he's up the weight class and you're going up to. Miles Johns is moving up with him. I don't really rate Miles Johns. I'm sorry. I don't think he's all that good. And that's a little biased to me because I don't know what it is about Miles Johns. There's some, like Alex Morono, I'm not the biggest fan of. Miles Johns, for example. There's just some fighters that I'm just like, fuck you, dude. I don't like you, man. You're weird. He's got a weird head. I think that's it. And I also don't think his fight style is all that entertaining, if I'm being honest. And I think he has a bloated UFC record up to this point. Like Douglas Silva de Andrade, that fight, like he's not like completely outclassing Douglas Silva de Andrade, who's 38. Putting him in there with a very fast, very quick, very technical, also has the grappling, Felipe Lima, who's going to have a huge speed advantage, huge technical advantage, who's also very aggressive. And that's the difference in this fight. Miles Johns has grown accustomed to fighting guys who are not bringing the fight to him. He's very low output until he explodes for a takedown, or he'll throw a huge winging right hand. Have fun getting 5 flying knees thrown in your face in the first 2 minutes, pal. Kick to the body, low kick, boxing exchange in the pocket, you're getting tagged up, flying knee, your mouth guard goes out, flying knee again, your ass is out. I think Felipe Lima is going to catch him with a couple flying knees in this fight because Miles Johns constantly ducks his head, and he doesn't have like a enclosed guard. He has a high guard, but the uppercut or flying knee is just wide open, man. I think Felipe Lima is going to tag him real fucking hard with a flying knee, and or sub him. Both of Miles John's losses are by finish, if I'm not mistaken. I know one of them is John Castaneda, who I think knocked him out. Was that John Castaneda that knocked him out? Or was that somebody else? Oh, John Castaneda subbed him. And he gets knocked out by Mario Batista with a flying knee to ground and pound. The flying knee is a weapon that constantly is landing on Miles Johns. And Felipe Lima has a nasty one, to be fair. And he's very aggressive, sets it up very well. I think Miles Johns, I think we're going to see his little milk dud head ass go into the stands with a fucking flying knee. And Felipe Lima is going to raise his hand. He's going to win for his mom again. We fuck with Felipe Lima around here. If you don't, go fuck yourself. Felipe Lima, second round knockout, or maybe first round. I don't think Miles Johns' wrestling is going to work either. I think Felipe Lima's takedown defense is superb. He showed that even in the Muhammad Naimov fight. Miles Johns isn't all that good. Lock it in. Felipe Lima, you're the GOAT. We move to Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. I'm picking Fernando Padilla. I don't care. I don't care that I've missed on every pick against Sean Woodson in my career. I don't give a fuck. Alright? On this channel, at least. I think I picked him a bunch. On his come-up, especially. But, I think Fernando Padilla can actually win this fight by knockout. I don't know what it is. Should I drop my mic? I'll edit that out. I don't know what it is about Sean Woodson. Is it just me, or do I have a feeling he is superbly chinny. It's just that no one can really hit him clean enough. You know what I mean? People always hit grazing shots on him because his head movement, he's always so awkward. Dude, the one time somebody really, rung his bell was Luis Saldana, who tagged him, really flush once, and he started to die, and then he dropped him with a jab thereafter. You get him in there with a guy who's a similar size as him, like Fernando Padilla, who isn't Julian Erosa. And Julian Erosa beat him, right? He beat Sean Woodson. He got beat by Julian Erosa, dude. So did Christian Rodriguez, to be fair, but that's besides the point. but I think Fernando Padilla, I think his boxing is very crisp. So is Sean Woodson's, to be fair. I think Fernando Padilla, what he showed to me in that Luis Pacuelo fight, that Peruvian boxer kid, he showed me that he has good leg kick defense. He checked the first leg kick that Luis threw in the first 5 seconds. And Sean Woodson throws a lot of slow, blind low kicks. He's very slow with his kicks, Sean Woodson. Very slow. Other than his head kick's very sharp, his low kicks, it's like his legs are so long that to throw them higher, he throws them quicker, but a leg kick, it takes 2 seconds for that shit to fully extend and land. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. I think Fernando's going to counter Sean Woodson a lot. Sean Woodson can definitely win. I think Fernando hits harder than Sean Woodson. I think he hits harder than Sean Woodson, and I don't think that Sean Woodson's going to be able to drag this fight into a clinch battle like he does sometimes. And I think Sean Woodson, he's super awkward. I think Fernando Padilla is going to see right through that. And Sean Woodson, he tries to evade a lot of the shit. I think Fernando's going to ring his bell in the first round and knock him out as the fight goes on. I think at the end of the first round, I think Sean Woodson, he's going to be on the cage. He's going to be doing that shit where he's like, lift my lead leg, he's going to try and exit. And I think a left hook from Fernando Padilla is going to knock him out. And this is kind of a biased pick, I'm going to be honest with you, because I can kind of throw these out there. My pick rate this year is fucking nuts. Final card of the year, I can just kind of lob this shit out there if I ever so please. So I think Fernando Padilla is going to knock out Sean Woodson. If he does go to decision, Sean Woodson might win. I don't know, but he's going to close decisions with Charles Jourdain and fucking Alex Caceres. I love Alex Caceres. But I think Fernando Padilla is actually kind of legit, and I liked his last performance against Luis Pacuelo. So I think Fernando's going to knock him out, or hell, he could even sub him. How many Darce finishes does he have? He's got that one. Triangle, armbar. Dude, he's got crazy subs. He might be able to sub Sean Woodson, to be fair. And he's younger, too. I like Fernando Padilla. Fuck it. And he's an underdog. We move to Joel Álvarez versus Drakkar Klose. Two of the boys of this channel. Joel Álvarez, though, is who I'm going to go with. I really like Joel Álvarez in this matchup. Drakkar, going to be significantly shorter. Going to have to really leap in with his striking. And one of the things I really don't like in this matchup is Drakkar Klose, especially as of recent, has relied on his clinch strength and grappling to, like, win some of these fights. Like that Joaquim Silva fight, he really had to grind on Joaquim Silva to win that one. And in the striking, as that fight went on, his cardio... sorry, I'm recording this late. His cardio really did not hold up, man. And Joel is very patient. He doesn't gas himself out. That finishing sequence in that Elvis Brenner fight, nuts. That was insane. And I think that's a big lightweight, too, in Elvis Brenner, who is like 5'11", 6 foot. He's huge. He's missed weight a couple times before. He has very hard weight cuts. Drakkar Klose, he's going to have a significant reach disadvantage. He's not going to be able to take down Joel Álvarez. He might be able to, actually, because Joel Álvarez's takedown defense is pretty iffy, but it's increased. It's exponentially improved. Cool word for you guys there. In the fact that he used to have like one of the worst takedown defense percentages in the UFC's history, and then just now recently he's been defending takedowns like a motherfucker. So Joel Álvarez. Yeah, and I think Drakkar leaves his neck in very weird positions, like in the Joaquim Silva fight. He really left his neck in there for too long. If you do that against Joel Álvarez, the dude has, 17 wins by submission? God damn, dude. I think he subs Drakkar Klose. And if not, he breaks him as the fight goes on because of the gas tank of Drakkar. I don't think Drakkar's weapons are going to work well against Joel Álvarez. I think Joel has a very stalking presence. I don't think Drakkar Klose is going to be able to walk down Joel. And I think Joel Álvarez is just going to really stalk him, be patient, catch him on the counter shots. And Drakkar, he'll either get knocked out or he'll get subbed. I think he gets finished either way. I'll go first. It's either first round sub or like late second, early third round TKO. Lock it in. We move to Michael Johnson versus Ottman Azaitar. Oh, buddy. Oh, no. I'm going to go with Ottman Azaitar. I don't know why, but in my mind, in my little fucking cranium I got going on here, I can just visualize Michael Johnson getting, like, brutally knocked out in this fight. Same with Ottman Azaitar, to be fair. Ottman Azaitar, his 2 losses in his career are by knockout. But, he also has a lot of knockouts. Michael Johnson, he ain't, like, finishing a lot of people as of recent. He's more of, like, a decision guy. Listen, he can definitely catch Ottman Azaitar, because Ottman Azaitar does kind of leave openings, but so does Michael Johnson in the pocket, and that's my big fear in this fight, is that Ottman Azaitar is going to throw that goofy-ass, like, 4-punch combination to the body, and then just, like, overhand right, and Michael Johnson, like, is, like, sniffing the canvas. He's 38 years old. Ottman hasn't fought in a little bit since the Francisco Prado. Was that 2023 when he fought Francisco? It was 2023, so he hasn't fought in a while. And then he fought Matt Frivola. He's got a lot of, like, KOs, man. I think Ottman Azaitar, he's going to have a huge speed disadvantage, to be fair. Michael Johnson's going to be a lot quicker than him. Going to have a bit more of a technical advantage in this fight. Michael Johnson's honestly pretty sound. It really is just he has too many mistakes. Too many moments that go against him that are huge in the fight. Like the Jamie Pickett fight. Like he drops Jamie Pickett, but then Jamie Pickett drops him. You know what I mean? Ottman Azaitar, if he clips you once, and you're hurt, if you're hurt, like unlike Francisco Prado or, Matt Frivola, he didn't clip either of those guys enough to rock them. Michael Johnson has that type of chin to where if you hurt him once, it might be it's a little iffy. But I think Ottman Azaitar, his follow-up shots are fucking brutal as well. Michael Johnson, 38 years old. He's had a couple wars as of recent. I don't know, man. It just fucking reeks of a knockout, and I think Ottman Azaitar is primed to get one. He hasn't... I think he's locked in to get one, guys. I don't know. I don't know what it is about this, but I just... one of the Terror brothers, I think the name is... Is that what him and fucking Abu are called? Abu! Oh my god, dude. Alright, I'm going off as I move to the start of the main card. Oh my god. Navajo Stirling versus Tuco Tokkos. Oh my god. I just rewatched that Ming Yang Zhang fight with Tuco Tokkos, and my lord. I'm going to go with Navajo Stirling on this one. I think he chins Tuco in the first round. Oh my god. Tuco's a little wild guy, man. He's very wild on the feet, dude. He'll charge at you, and I think that's what's going to end up getting him caught in this fight against Navajo, who is very good at counter-striking, who I think is going to catch him with a left hook when he's advancing, or maybe just a solid right straight over the top and catch him on the temple, maybe finish him with some ground and pound. Tuco, one of the best weapons of his is going to be his aggressive style, and that leads into some of his grappling. That's something that he does have in his arsenal. Navajo Stirling, I think that I'm pretty sure this guy is going to be legit. That's all I'm going to say. I think this dude's going to be very legit. He trains at City Kickboxing. He's very big for light heavyweight, 6'4", 82-inch reach. It's never good when your opponent has a 6-inch reach on you, especially when you're in the heavier weight classes. That means that they control you even better. Navajo Stirling's striking fundamentals are very good. I like his teeps to the body in this fight because Tuco does have he's got a little bit of overhang on him, and Navajo's in great shape. But yeah, I think when Tuco, he's going to try and get in there. He's going to try and, advance in there. He's going to try and get in there. I think that Navajo's going to clock him clean and just send him flying. Dude, that Ming Yang Zhang knockout is fucking brutal, dude. Oh my god. I advise all you guys to watch that because that is fucking hilarious. The way his body folds. Oh my god. But yeah, I think Tuco gets folded in round 1. So I'll go Navajo Stirling first round KO. I think Tuco's going to... Again, he's going to be advancing. I think that Navajo's going to be chewing that lead leg up. Tuco's might maybe be reaching, feint the low kick, right straight, left hook. Down goes Tuco again because he sucks. We moved to Adrian Yañez versus Daniel Marcos. Tricky. Very tricky fight. I'll pick Daniel Marcos. I think that Daniel he mixes it up a little bit better than Adrian Yañez. Just on the feet. I think Adrian Yañez, he's pretty rudimentary with a lot of his striking, and he's good at it. That's the thing. It's not like a basic striking pattern where, he's just throwing it out there. Adrian Yañez does set his stuff up very well, his very loopy right hooks. I wasn't a big fan of his performance against Vinicius Salvador, even though he gets the brutal KO 3 minutes in. I felt like Adrian didn't really look like the older version of himself, where he was a bit more technical with his striking. A lot of his strikes in that fight were super loopy, and I'm not a huge fan of that going into a fight against a guy like Daniel Marcos. Maybe he freshens it up, maybe he reverts back, but I think that Adrian Yañez has a lot of anger in him right now, and he's just going to be swinging. I don't like that he's taking this fight on short notice as well. I'm pretty sure that Saeed Nurmagomedov was supposed to be fighting Daniel Marcos this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. It was supposed to be Saeed Nurmagomedov. So, you got a guy like Adrian Yañez taking a short notice fight against a guy like Daniel Marcos, who I think can chew up his legs a little bit, throw the teeps to the body, and also match his striking. Maybe not as good as Adrian Yañez's striking, of course, but Daniel Marcos does hit pretty hard, and he sets his strikes up very well, and he has a lot of pressure coming from himself. So you get a guy like a pure boxer like Adrian Yañez, who isn't really good with his kicking game, who does suffer when people mix it up well in front of him, against a guy like Daniel Marcos, who can do that. And I think Daniel might even try and get his clinch game going and possibly search for takedowns. I feel like I can't pick Adrian Yañez in a fight like this. I feel like I can't. I think he's going to exert a lot of low kicks. Now, as the fight goes on, the cardio of Daniel is going to play a factor in the fight, because I feel like this fight will go to a decision. It'll, maybe not actually. Shit. Daniel has been hit pretty hard, and he got wobbled against John, but then Adrian's been finished twice. Ooh. In the UFC, at least. Has he been finished more than that? No, those are only his 2 finished losses. I think it's gonna be a buck for sure. These guys are gonna go at each other. But I think I favor Daniel. I think, like I said, I think he's going to exert a lot of low kicks, teeps to the body. He's going to have Adrian Yañez whiffing a lot of his shots, maybe landing some. I think Daniel Marcos' pressure is going to build up a little bit, snowball, possibly a second round TKO for Daniel Marcos. Just Adrian kind of, again, not being as technical as he needs to be with his style, which I know he can be more technical than he was in that Vinicius Salvador fight, but I feel like for some reason he's kind of like regressing in that area. So I'll go Daniel Marcos, second round TKO against the fence. Sure. We move to Vitor Petrino versus Dustin Jacoby. I'm going to go with Vitor on this one. Dustin Jacoby's good. His record doesn't speak to how skillful he is, I'd say. It's just physical things, and I also like Vitor in this fight. I don't know if you guys know this or not, just a little. Vitor Petrino actually has the highest takedown accuracy in UFC light heavyweight history, and he's actually top 10 in just UFC history in general. Yeah, he's pretty fucking good when it comes to strength-based takedowns, and Dustin Jacoby has a 60% takedown defense. And also Dustin, he can style on people for very long periods of time in the fight, and then he'll just get cracked once, and then the whole round changes, and he gets wobbled. And one of the weapons I see that does that to him is a left hook. A left hook really startles Dustin because he'll keep his hands low. He's always feinting like a body shot, and then he'll get clipped with a left hook because he'll react to a feint and then get dropped for it. It happened against Alonzo Metafield, happened against Alex Pereira in kickboxing. I'm pretty sure Azamat Mirzakhanov dropped him with a left hook in their fight. This dude's always getting hurt by left hooks, and Vitor Petrino's best punch is his left hook. He also has that crisp-ass right overhand, but he will always throw a check left hook if needs be. We saw that in the Modestas Bukauskas fight. Hell, in the Anthony Smith fight, he actually clipped Anthony with it as well. He's always searching for that left hook, and that also sets up his right hand. He's very powerful, very strong. And I can only imagine the age, 36 versus a 27-year-old. 27-year-old who is fucking jacked, who is very strong, very powerful, very good at controlling people on the ground as well. That's something that some people seem to not do very well with Dustin Jacoby. I imagine Vitor can control Dustin if he needs to. So, Dustin he leaves that lead leg out there for a single leg. I think Vitor Petrino, I think he's going to be too strong. And I think this is going to be another fight where Dustin, for a couple minutes in every round, he's going to be able to keep him at bay, and then Vitor's either going to shoot a takedown or have it 2 takedowns in the round up to that point, or he's going to clip him, and then Dustin Jacoby's going to get knocked down. I think Vitor finishes Dustin in the third or second round. Vitor has decent cardio. He's got underrated cardio. He can put a pace on people for 3 rounds at least. So I'll go Vitor Petrino by second or third round finish. We move to the featured fight, Manel Kape versus Bruno Silva. I'm going to go with Manel Kape on this one. And by the way, this is flyweight Bruno Silva, not the shitty middleweight. I just think Manel Kape's a little better than Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva, he's quite the inactive guy. Same with Manel Kape, to be fair. He's not crazy active himself, but he's just a little bit more active than Bruno. And I also believe that Bruno Silva, he's a little too wild. He's not technical enough, and he doesn't pose as much of a takedown threat, or he doesn't pose that crazy wrestling threat as much as he should be. Because Bruno Silva, he does shoot a couple takedowns a fight, he does, but I also don't like how he gets clipped quite a few times. Cody Durden was styling on Bruno Silva for most of their fight. He really was. Cody Durden was beating the shit out of Bruno Silva for a large majority of their fight up until the KO. I don't think he chins Manel Kape. I don't think he does. And I think Manel Kape, who can get lulled into these boring at-range fights like he had against Makayev, like he had against Mateusz Nicolau, where he's just not doing enough, he's not going to be able to do that against Bruno Silva. Bruno's going to force him to fight, and I feel like this fight's going to look a lot like the Felipe Dos Santos fight, but not as competitive. Because Felipe Dos Santos, he's got a crazy reach for the division, crazy long arms. He's got a chin on him, and he was also shooting a shit ton of takedowns. I think Manel Kape, honestly, could take down Bruno Silva, if I'm being totally honest. That's something people don't mention about Manel Kape, is that he actually shoots quite a few takedowns on fights where people aren't shooting as much on him. He kind of feels the need to implement his wrestling like he had against Pantoja, bro. Against Pantoja. I don't know why I said it like that. Like, he shot like 7 takedowns against Pantoja and got 2 of them. I know that was his debut. I know that was fucking a couple years ago. But he can get takedowns. Like, Manel Kape can do that. He's not just some, like, stylish kickboxer who's super explosive, who's pretty technical. I think Bruno Silva's just a little bit behind skill-wise. He's also older. He's 34. I've seen lesser opponents have large moments of success over him, like Cody Durden, in the striking especially. And I think Bruno Silva, if you put enough pace on him, he will break, and he will slow down enough to where he's not able to land those huge punches. And it's not like Manel Kape has a certain... It's not like he moves his head into danger, and I like that about Manel Kape. He doesn't move his head into danger, where like he's ducking, he's doing all this. He's pretty safe defensively. So I'll go Manel Kape, decision. I'll go 30-27, possibly one judge making it 29-28 because Bruno Silva looks like he's throwing harder. Kind of like Josh Emmett, Calvin Kattar-esque scorecard. Where, like, the judge is like, well, Bruno Silva, he's really throwing with a lot of gusto, so I'll give him the fight. But Manel Kape should win. We move to the co-main event. Cub Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo. Oh, man. Oh, boy. It's a couple of mid-boys. I'll go with Billy. Quarantillo. I just think at a certain point, Cub Swanson at 41 years old, I feel like I just can't pick him. You know what I mean? Because I will say this about Billy. I don't think Billy is all that great, if I'm being totally honest with you. I don't think Billy Quarantillo is anything special. I'll say that. I don't think he's very special. But he's going to be younger. He's going to be bigger. I think Billy Quarantillo's style will work very well against Cub Swanson. To a degree. On the feet, Cub Swanson, for the first round, is going to be tagging the shit out of Billy Quarantillo with straight shots. He's going to be beating the shit out of Billy. Not beating the shit out of him, but landing consistently to the point where, like, if you picked Billy Quarantillo, you're going to be like, oh, no. You have to understand this about Billy Quarantillo. You're picking him based on him being able to go through the damage and actually implement his own damage as the fight goes on. The guy that he's fighting starts to slow down, and he starts to pick up the pace, and he breaks them. That's what you're picking Billy Quarantillo to do. I think he can do that against Cub Swanson. 41 years old, having a bum knee, having a couple ACL surgeries on that knee. I think it's his left one, whichever one Jonathan Martinez kicked the shit out of. You pick him based on that. And Billy Quarantillo, he implements his style. He wears down on people with his kind of weird boxing. He's got, like, awkwardly short arms and a long torso, though. I think Cub can do well early. As the fight goes on, Cub Swanson actually kind of picks up the pace, too. I think this is going to be a dogfight. I think Billy Quarantillo is just going to edge out the rounds somewhat. I think this fight will be a bit more of a firefight. It'll be a more firefight version of maybe Andre Philly versus Cub Swanson, which I thought Cub Swanson had a pretty solid case for winning that fight, if I'm being totally honest. I picked Andre Philly, by the way. That's the card I went undefeated on, by the way, just, letting you know, UFC 303, never forget. But anyways, Billy, he kind of walks people down. He's a marauder, man. This guy will walk you down. He'll eat the shots, and then he'll land his shots, and then you start to slow down. You better not start to slow down in front of Billy Quarantillo, because then that's when you pick it up. And the thing I like about Billy is that the only guys he's losing to as of recent, and this is similar, kind of same, man, with, Cub Swanson, but Billy Quarantillo, the last guys that he's losing, Yusuf Zalal, who we're seeing as of now, is super good. Like,
Yusuf Zalal is really good. He loses to Edson Barboza. Edson's really solid. Shane Burgos, that's all the way back in 2021. That's that crazy fight at UFC, what was it, 281? Was that what that was? Was that 268? 268, that's what it was. Because that was Gaethje Chandler was the fight before that. Yeah. So you got those fights. He's only losing to, crazy knockout artists. You know what I mean? Cub Swanson at this age, I don't really think he's that anymore. When was the last guy that Cub Swanson knocked out Darren Elkins? In 2021? Yeah. And then before that, it was the Pineda knockout in 2020. He's not, this guy, he's not finishing Kron Gracie in 2019. He's getting finished by Giga Chikadze. He's getting finished by Jonathan Martinez. He's going to a robbery decision with Hakeem Dawodu. He's not finishing Andre Philly, for fuck's sake, who's really, really chinny. I'll pick Billy Quarantilla to win.
We move to the main event. Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Man, what a fight. I'm going to Joaquin Buckley by second round knockout. I think he knocks out Colby. I really do believe that Colby's last performance against Leon Edwards was one of the most dreadful performances I've ever had to sit through. And I don't really think it's going to be that much different. Because here's the thing. Leon Edwards doesn't have that one-punch knockout power that a Joaquin Buckley does. And even against that guy, Colby Covington is very reserved. Now, you could always point to the broken foot claim. We're going to fucking find out if his foot was really fucking broken come Saturday. We're going to really find out if this dude is lying about that or if it was really real. I also believe that he's going to struggle to get takedowns on Joaquin Buckley. His takedowns in that fight were fucking atrocious. I don't think Colby's athletic enough. I don't think he's quick enough to hang with these younger guys. Joaquin's in his prime. He just knocked out fucking Wonder Boy, who has personally, in my opinion, I think he has a better chin than Colby Covington. Even though he's been KO'd before, and Colby Covington, he's only been TKO'd once by Kamaru, who was an early stoppage. I've seen Colby get dropped many a times. I've seen him get hurt many times. Now, Joaquin, of course, he's been knocked out 3 times. Actually, has he been knocked out 4? Because I think he got knocked out in the regionals, too. Colby doesn't have that power. He just doesn't. His head kicks are a big part of his game, which could work against Joaquin Buckley if you're quick enough. But he's not. That's the thing, because Joaquin, he's constantly ducking and moving and, in and out, because that's where those head kicks come in, because that MMA head movement doesn't work well when you're moving side to side like that, ducking left to right against head kicks, but Colby Covington isn't quick enough anymore. He's not going to be able to hold down Joaquin Buckley, in my opinion. I think Joaquin Buckley is one of the more tough guys to hold down in that welterweight division just because he is like a ball of muscle. I've seen middleweights struggle to hold down Joaquin Buckley. And I know it's like the divisional skill gap and all, but those guys are literally stronger. Like Nasruddin Imavov really struggled to keep Joaquin Buckley on the ground because he just was able to bounce back up. Colby's going to be scared in that cage. He's going to be afraid of Joaquin Buckley very early. And unless he gets on the gas in rounds 2 or 3, which he won't because Colby Covington is not good anymore, he's washed, he's going to get knocked the fuck out. Joaquin Buckley sets up his striking through his wrestling. He's going to shoot on Colby Covington. I'm telling you guys this. He's going to shoot on him because he's that confident now. He's one of the most confident guys right now. This is his 4th fight in the year, I believe. He's going to try and run through Colby Covington. And he's going to. I think he's going to run through Colby. I think he knocks him out in the 2nd round. Colby, his stance as of right now is straight up. His legs are so close together. I think Joaquin Buckley can get a blast double leg on him. Colby Covington, what's Colby's takedown defense? Is in the 80s? He's a 68. His takedown defense is worse than Joaquin's? Yeah, Joaquin Buckley's going to fuck him up, man. Joaquin Buckley's going to fucking run through Colby Covington. And I can't wait to see it. Fuck Colby. I'm joking, but Joaquin Buckley's 2nd round knockout. I think it looks similar to the first Kamaru Usman fight,
the finish at least. He drops him, Colby gets back up, and then he gets dropped again. Follow-up shots proceed. So I'll go Joaquin Buckley's second round TKO. I think his leaping gazelle punches are going to be landing on Colby Covington. Colby's going to struggle to get takedowns. Even if he does get one, Joaquin's going to be able to bounce right back up because Colby Covington has no threat on the ground whatsoever with ground and pound or fucking submissions. He's not good anymore. Joaquin Buckley. Lock it in.
I'm UFC Thoughts. These have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Tampa Bay, Covington vs. Buckley on December 12th. I'm UFC Thoughts. These have been my picks and breakdown for every fight on UFC Tampa Bay, Covington vs. Buckley on December 14th, 2024. My confident picks reside with Fernando, Padilla, Navajo, Stirling, and Joaquin Buckley. My pre-card rating is a 7 out of 10. Honestly, one of the best fight nights of the year, in my personal opinion. I really like this card. There's a lot of possibilities for finishes, and honestly, I just like a lot of the matchups. You know, even the women's fights on this card. You know, what is there, like 2? They're both pretty cool. You know, you got Manel Kape on here, you got Vitor Petrino on here, you got Cubby, Colby, and Joaquin Buckley should be entertaining. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Last card of the year. Let's make the best of it. I'll see you guys after the fights. Peace.